Diamond releases more Resonance of Halloween Town. Here's your look at the Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, Creature Under the Stairs, and Cyclops Collector's Action Figures. The residents of Halloween Town are the monsters and creatures who make Halloween possible, and they love nothing more than to frighten people year after year. But when Jack Skellington has an idea to take over Christmas, the Creature Under the Stairs and Cyclops go along on his wild plan and do their best to recreate the holiday. These deluxe action figures of the Creature Under the Stairs and Cyclops from Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas feature multiple points of articulation. They were designed by Eamon O'Donoghue and sculpted by Cortez Studios. It may not be Halloween yet. That's not to say that we still can't look at some Nightmare Before Christmas figures from the folks over at Diamond Select. Speaking of which, I'd like to thank the folks over at Diamond that did provide this sample of the Creature Under the Stairs and Cyclops that we can have a look at in this video. Grabbing the tape measure now. First, we're going to measure off the Creature Under the Stairs. Not that it really matters any particular order, and I don't know why my tape measure seems so twisted. There we go. What was going on there for a second? Creature Under the Stairs. I feel so compelled to call him the creature from the Black Lagoon. Nonetheless, though, the figure is about 6 inches in height, or the figure is about 15 centimeters tall. Then on to Cyclops, who, if you count really his ears, makes him a little bit taller of a figure. He's actually about 6 1/4 inches in height, or he's about 16 centimeters tall. Neither one of these figures come included with accessories or parts to continue your build of Halloween Town. So if you thought that these figures were requirements in order to complete Halloween Town, you don't have to worry. If anything, you can pick up these figures solely from just loving the designs of these. And I certainly love the designs of both. We're going to start things first, I think, with the Creature Under the Stairs. I'm not really sure which one I actually like a lot more. I do like the design of Creature Under the Stairs, but I do like the color scheme that went with Cyclops. We're going to talk more about that in a second. Picking, though, up the Creature from Under the Stairs, this one actually does have a base on the bottom of it. So if you thought for a second it was too narrow at the bottom where you would be unable to move its arms, well, let me just show you right now. You can take the arms. First of all, that talks more about the articulation of the figure, but you can easily, bring those arms forward, far off reach if you want to, and the figure's not going to fall over. All thanks to the fact that the figure does have the base at the bottom of it. The base sort of have these feet also on the underside, a few little scratchings that they've added to the plastic there as well. I might certainly the only one looking at this and not think that the Creature Under the Stairs looks a lot like a sandworm from Beetlejuice. You got to think some inspiration was carried over from one film to the other, considering that really both are Tim Burton's works anyways. Head sculpt is really good on this one. Let me just go ahead and move his arms out of the way here. Head sculpt, like I said, though, is really good, really sandworm-ish. You have the alternating colors of a darker gray. It doesn't even seem black. It's more of a really dark gunmetal gray. And then paneled in between that is more of a light medium gray. Coiled up all the way up until you get this very snake-looking head. It doesn't have any articulation, but it does have certainly big giant lips and painted nicely teeth on the inside dividing between the two lips. Has big little beady eyes there also as well. Really like the head sculpt on this one quite a lot. And again, like there's articulation. I don't want to give away too much of it too quickly, but there's also articulation as well. Nice thing that they've actually done too is they've put enough of a joint in there because while looking at this, you would almost think for a second like it would be very limited with what you could actually pull off for the posability. Quite the contrary. In fact, just to bring this down, you can see how much of a gap they've allotted in between the neck section of the figure and the head section of the figure. There's quite a bit of articulation to go for here. I do really like the head sculpt quite a lot, though, and it's not just because I'm a big fan of Beetlejuice and sandworms either. I just really, really think that the Creature Under the Stairs was a neat design for a character, and it goes further just beyond the point of its head, too. It sort of has like almost a furrier-looking body, very long, almost tree trunk-sized arms, and then on the ends of their fingers, the creature has individual serpents representing each of the individual fingers. None of these are bendable in the sense that there's a wire frame. Actually, they're all being used of a softer plastic. So yeah, you can move them around, but they're not going to stay in the position that you actually have them in. They're always going to revert back to this. Again, you've got the alternating striped colors. Burton loves his stripes between, again, like the medium gray and the slightly darker gray. Little beady eyes on the ends of the fingers are all done nicely here in a crimson red. And that's the case also on both the sides too. The body, for a second, seems slightly softer. I don't know if it's maybe just more my eyes and I guess my sense of touch throwing me off, but it does seem like it's a little bit more of a softer plastic, and I'm sure that's probably not the case. Just to spin this around so you can see it from all the back there as well. Again, some really nice sculpting. Both the figures of the creature and the Cyclops actually stick to a very dark gray. Kind of the motif, really, of any of the characters from The Nightmare Before Christmas, especially of Halloween Town, is that they kind of keep to really more dark grays, kind of the dark black tones, and then there's certain things about the characters that always tend to pop. They always take like one element of the character and they add a lot more color to it. In the case here of the creature under the stairs, it's really the head. You got the big red lips, you got the big beady eyes done in kind of a off beige yellowish color, and then you got the more color added here also into the hands. For the articulation on the creature, the head isn't on it's not on a ball joint per se, but it actually does have just a swivel joint. It doesn't move up and down in that sense, so it makes me think only it's been pegged in place. The head, however, though, is on a ball joint or ball hinge joint. So you can rock the head back and forth ever so much this way, but you can also move the head up and down this way, and yeah, you can rotate the head independently all the way around. Really love the sculpting on the head sculpt on this one. The arms do come out. They're a little more on the tighter side, but they do squeak, they creak, but at least you can bring them out at a 90-degree angle bend. And just to show you how well that base serves, just move Cyclops out of the way just in case you thought Cyclops was holding up its weight. No, man, no way. You can actually move those arms fine out. And just that small little square base is more than enough to keep the figure from falling over. You can take those same arms and you rotate them all the way around. The hands are also on independent hinge joints, so yeah, you can rotate those also all the way around. And there's also a hinge joint that allows those hands, if you kind of want to have the more hands up on a slight angle, you can do that certainly as well. There is no articulation here. I mean, like from like the neck all the way down to the bottom here is all just a staction molded piece of plastic. And again, there's no articulation at the base either, but not that it really needs it either. I mean, what it does well, and that's sculpting and paint. Moving then our attention over to Cyclops. Cyclops, I hate to say, although it does have a nice sculpt and really cool paint, especially on its eye, the figure does have more of a difficult time standing, which just seems really so strange. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the figure has such small, tiny little feet. In fact, we'll pick it up right now. Get a good gander at how small these feet are. Now, to be fair, at least, they did put peg holes on the undersides. And while it doesn't come included with a display stand, most definitely you could use a stand from another figure line. In fact, just reaching off to the side here, I have myself a display stand that came included with one of the SDCC 2022. It may have been Bruce Lee, one of the display stands nonetheless. That's one way you could certainly fix to have the figure not falling over on you. It's fine really on its own. So like if I was to put it down without that stand, it's fine. It stands. However, though, when you do take the time to move the arms outward, like if you want to get in a pose or something like that, let's just do that for the time being. And you put it down. Just move everything out of the way here. Okay, that's not so bad. Maybe if we just move it out just a little bit, it does make it a little more off-kilter. And actually, a couple of times I did have it falling over. You can work around that too, by actually rotating these out. And sure enough, it makes me sound like a liar. Yeah, the figure was balancing a little bit better in this video. Promise, though, I wasn't making this up. The figure was falling over a little bit more frequently behind the scenes. But yeah, if you did want to use yourself like one of those oval-shaped bases that came included with the Diamond Select stuff released before, yeah, you can easily do that. Just attaches on the underside of the figure's feet. As I said, though, let's get a closer look at the head sculpt here. My favorite element about the Cyclops has to be the big giant eye. Not only is it one singular eye, but it's been painted so nicely with both the blue color on the outer edge of the eyeball, but then you've got a lighter, almost lime-colored green that transitions from the blue in. Really nice the way they've done that. You've got these veins also running around the outer edge of the eyes as well, blood red eyes, and then you've got the little singular pupil in the middle there. There is no articulation. It would have been kind of fun if they could have found a way to actually have this as something that could move back and forth, but essentially it's just molded to the rest of the head. Big long ears here on the Cyclops, these nibbling little teeth down below here. There's articulation also, of which we will talk more about in a second. I like the wrinkling that they've added to the face. Really some interesting texture work happening with both the figures that neither really one of them actually share similar molds. I mean, like, obviously, yeah, their bodies and their heads are completely different from one another, but even like just to compare the way they've textured the bodies. The body here actually on Cyclops resembles almost more like the trunk or the bark of a tree, whereas actually this is a little bit more finer. a little more refined on the creature under the stairs. So I like that they actually don't share similar molds, similar kinds of texturing here. The gray is also quite a lot darker here also in the Cyclops. It's a little bit more of a lighter brown here on the creature from under the stairs. Again, you've got these tiny little feet. Now, you can move, again, them back and forth. That serves to be the only really bit of articulation that the figure has, pretty much from, like, the armpit down. So if you do want to kind of compensate for the fact that the figure is going to have, yeah, see, like right there, you want to just make sure those feet are kind of a little more closer together. That's the ticket. That's the ticket right there. So, yeah, there's some articulation there. He's got these really long, spindly arms with equally spindly little fingers, too. He only has actually 3 fingers and 1 thumb, if you could still consider that a thumb. So he's missing the little pinky on the end of there. But he does have some decent articulation as well, which we will look at right now. The figure does have a ball joint, so you can rotate that all the way around. It's actually a ball hinge joint. Upon closer inspection, you can see, like, there's the hinge joint right there. So not only does the figure have a ball joint at the top, but it also allows the head to move up and down and get a little bit more mileage that way. And of course, yeah, you can rotate the head all the way around also as well. Figure works the same way in the shoulder area. There's a pin and hinge joint right there, so it allows the arm to not only, first of all, come forward and back this way. You can also bring the arm and rotate that all the way around this way. There's a single hinge that also allows the forearm to rotate back and forth. And same rule applies also for the hands. You can rotate them all the way around this way, and you can also hinge them back and forth too. Nothing from here all the way down to about here. Then, of course, you've got the single hinge joint for the leg. There's no articulation for the feet, nor is there articulation for the knees, but dealing with such a small figure anyways with tiny little limbs, I don't know if I necessarily would have missed the fact that the figure doesn't have it. Yeah, see what I mean? Like the figure's legs. There we go. You got to find that sweet spot to get him to stand just right. Again, despite his size and overall build, creature under the stairs has little to no problem standing, all contributed to the fact, of course, the figure does have that squared off base. And while Cyclops doesn't have that, unfortunately, again, you can always make use of one of these oval-shaped bases that we looked at in an earlier video, just plugging onto the bottom of it. And while fairly, it doesn't come included with it in this set, you can easily use it, though, if you're looking to display these figures and you're worrying that Cyclops is going to fall off the shelf for you. Though they don't seem to get released as much as I would like, Diamond always impresses me when it comes to their Nightmare Before Christmas line. Generally is the case when it comes to releasing monster packs, they always release them in more than just the one. Characters like Sally, characters like Jack Skellington will always get their own dedicated packaging, but they always then throw in all these extra accessories. While characters like this may not get as many accessories, or even in the case of Creature Under the Stairs or Cyclops, they get no accessories, you at least get the benefit of having 2 more residents packaged together and buying them at the exact same time. I love both of these figures, and yeah, they don't have accessories. Cyclops could have probably used a display stand. He doesn't come included with it, but I'm okay with that. What you get instead, equally sculpted, well figures, and decently painted too. Both of these really do keep still that gray motif that's quite common in Halloween Town. Everybody sort of keeps to a very dark, dingy color. But then on each of the characters, there's always like a little bit of pop of color. You get more of the color here in the Creature Under the Stairs with both the hands and the head, and you get that a lot more with Cyclops with the big, bright blue and greenish eye that it has. The figures do have posability, a little more limited on the Creature Under the Stairs. Cyclops get a little more of it, but unfortunately the sacrifice that has to be made in order for Cyclops to get more posability is the fact the figure does have a little more difficult time standing. In fact, you probably can already see here in final looks as the figures both spin around on the rotisserie of mine that I've actually just gone ahead and attached the Cyclops. I didn't want to take any chances. I didn't want to have the figure falling over in mid-conversation with you, the viewing audience. So instead, I just thought to myself, attach it to a display stand and that's it. I don't have to worry. And I don't have to worry. I'm probably just going to end up displaying Cyclops on the shelf with a display stand. Granted, it's going to make him a little taller than really what he should be, but at least I'm not going to have to worry of the figure falling over. One thing I did want to point out, though, here in final looks, I don't know if you can actually see it or not, just the one section of the shoulder from the creature. It's actually the arm that's closest to Cyclops. There seems to be a bit of a spacing that started to develop when I had the arm moving forward. I probably could fix that, or at the very most, I could probably just keep the arm down. I think having the arm further up is probably starting to separate the two halves, the front and the back half of the Creature from Under the Stairs. Other than that, though, I really like the look of both of these figures. Diamond Select has done a bang-up job once again on the residents of Halloween Town. We just got to get more of these. And maybe at some point, if they could go back, as they've done in the case before with like Marvel Select stuff, go back and try to re-release a lot of these older Diamond Select Nightmare Before Christmas figures that maybe collectors now trying to get these maybe who had the chance to get the Cyclops and Creature Under the Stairs, maybe didn't get so much the chance to get those older figures that they have done in the years prior. Maybe at some point I hope that Diamond Select will re-release some of those older figures for the new collectors of the Nightmare Before Christmas fandom. What do you guys, though, think of this line? What do you think specifically of Creature Under the Stairs and Cyclops? Which is your favorite of the two figures that we looked at in this review? And maybe a greater question also to ask you guys is, who's your favorite character design from Halloween Town? Doesn't have to necessarily be these two. It could be like the mayor, it could be Sally, it could be any one of the little vampires moving around. Who's your favorite? Lock, Stock, and Barrel? I mean, it could be Lock, Shock, and Barrel. It could be one of those two. Who's your favorite character design from Nightmare Before Christmas? Let me know down below in the comment section. And once again, a big thank you to the folks over at Diamond Select that did provide the sample of the Creature Under the Stairs and Cyclops that we could have a look at in this review. If you guys are enjoying this video, and certainly have enjoyed this video, hit it with a like. If you are new here and enjoying the content, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button and turning on the bell notifications so you're going to get reminders every single time a new video is popping up. I'm not just saying that just so you hit a bell for no reason whatsoever. It does actually help you to know whenever new videos are coming up onto this channel, and there's definitely going to be more Diamond Select reviews also coming soon to this channel. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.